Hello, thank you for joining me today on my channel where I talk about manhood. And if you talk about manhood, you must talk about womanhood. So today I'll be talking about womanhood versus manhood. Now, this isn't womanhood against manhood or one being worse than the other. It's just about manhood and womanhood. Now, when you think about manhood, you can pretty much sum it up in three words, which I like to use as provider, protector, and procreator. But when you speak about womanhood, it's a little bit more difficult to narrow down. But I've come up with three words that I think that best reflect womanhood, and that is caregiver, nurturer, and teacher. Now, I have often said that manhood must be demonstrated in a relationship. It's not good for man to be alone. We've all heard that before. The same thing with womanhood. It must be demonstrated in relationship also. But a woman, a woman's womanhood is not as provider, protector, or procreator, even though she's capable of doing all those things. She's a caregiver. Once she has a child, she ensures that that child is able to survive, whatever that takes. She gives that care. She cares for their health, their well-being, and she does whatever it takes to ensure that that child survives. And that is more on a physical plane of feeding, of teaching skills, um, and when they're sick, to do doctoring and all sorts of things like that for the physical body. Now, the nurturing part of her is to teach them confidence, the correct displays of emotions, to nurture self-esteem within the child. So that is more on the emotional and mental side. Now, the teacher is all encompassing. And if you heard when I spoke about caregiver and nurturer, it overlaps. She has to teach them how to be a human. She has to teach them the things that enable them to care for themselves without her, such as walking and talking. And she actually is the first teacher with the ABCs, how to sing, how to count. She does all of that early on in their lives. And she teaches them in the nurturing part how to display correct emotions, how to give love, how to receive love. It runs the gamut. There's no limitation on what a woman teaches their children. And in this teaching environment of constant caregiver, constant nurturer, constant teacher, whoever is in that that atmosphere, that space with her, she's caring for them, she's nurturing them, and she's teaching them, and that includes her husband. And even it expands to her extended family. She ends up teaching and nurturing and caring for parents and sisters. It's just an ongoing process. Now, one thing that's important to note is with a lot of the online complaints in the manosphere on women trying to redefine manhood or insisting what manhood is, or even saying that manhood is no longer needed, is a little bit of a misnomer, because women have always been involved in defining manhood. Because women raise children, they are instilling a good bit into them, and they instill a good bit towards how a man shows up. Of course, the father's influence is of the utmost importance, because the son, the male child, will model himself after the male present. And they get that example of how a man walks and sits, holds his hand, something that a woman cannot teach in essence. And a man pours into a male child even more when it comes to sports and the vernacular and speech pattern of a man. So even though women are a large contributing factor to young men as they grow to become men. They're not the only influence, but they have always had their hand in developing future men. So when women say what is suitable for a man to interact, you're kind of dealing with someone who knows what they're talking about because they have been raising future adults for generations, and they can surmise what is going on, what is needed for their children to be successful and functional in society. That's what they do. When they have children, they want to bring them up to be successful and functioning in society. So they kind of have their hand on the pulse of what's needed for that time, for society, for their children to function in society. So you need a blend of men pouring into children and women pouring into children, mothers and fathers pouring into children. Now, for a woman to be a caregiver, nurturer, and teacher, her educational background or her life experience level, it really doesn't matter. Whatever she has is what she pours into that child. Whatever education level she's on, that's what she brings to her family. Whatever life experience she has, that's what she brings to her family. So it's no matter what level a woman is at, that's what she's able to pour into her child. Now, of course, she can build herself up more as she sees fit and as needed to pour into her child, and vice versa. Men can do the same thing. Nothing is set in stone. You can always learn, grow, adapt, and do when you have this at the forefront of your mind. Now, as we said, the man is a provider and a protector, and there's something that's different. I would say it happened in the last 60 to 70 years. No matter if the woman has a partner or the father of her children with her, or if a spouse dies, she will continue on being caregiver, nurturer, and teacher, and then she would pick up provider and protector. Like I say, about 60, 70 years ago, if a man found himself being a single father where his wife was deceased and he had young children or divorce or separation, he usually wouldn't continue on with the sole care of his children. He would usually let his mother, the children's grandmother, have custody and raise them, or maybe a sister, or even the parents of the deceased spouse, girlfriend, wife, the grandparents on the maternal side to raise the children. But more and more, we see that men are stepping up and adding to their skill set, caregiver, nurturer, and teacher to their children, which is a good thing. Uh, the reason why I'm doing so many of these videos on manhood and womanhood is because of the online chatter saying that so many people are having so much difficulty in the dating arena, and men are voicing their frustration and lack of understanding of what's going on with women, and men are giving men advice on how to get women. And what I have found to be true is that the saying that's popular now is, what do you bring to the table? But I want people to consider, who are you bringing to the table? Who are you that's coming to the table saying, hey, I want someone to want me and to be in a relationship with me? Who are you? And who you bring to the table is far more important than what you bring to the table. What you bring to the table can fluctuate, as we saw with the pandemic. People economic standing changed due to having a shelter in and jobs closing, and we haven't really recovered yet. But who you bring to the table is more stable, it's more defining, it's more lasting, and it can be handled and maneuvered by you, by your own input. So I want to say, who you bring to the table when you're one, before you decide to become two in any shape or form, should be the healthiest version of yourself. And when you're the healthiest version of yourself, it attracts others. You attract who you are, what you are. That's what attracts. If your goal is just money, you're going to probably attract people with money. If your goal is beauty, you want to attract beautiful people, you'll attract beautiful people. But do they offer more than that? Do you offer more than that is the question. And so to solve the difficulties of adulthood, womanhood, or manhood, you must begin with a healthy person. And being a healthy person, you can reflect and do self-assessment to see how well you are. And lucky for us, psychologists have come up with the 8 stages of development that each human development should go through. There are milestones of skills that you should acquire, how you mature emotionally and cognitively, and in a time and era where all information is at our fingertips, it's very easy to do an assessment on what your mental and emotional health is. Everyone's concerned with physical health, but mental and emotional health is what is the foundation of relationships. And you should be healthy emotionally and mentally, and the person that you seek to be in relationship should be healthy emotionally and mentally. And so there are 8 definable pivotal points in a human's life where they go from being one person to the next person to the next person to the next person in development. And I'm going to briefly mention them now, and the next video I will go in depth about each one of them. So the first stage is infancy. We understand that. Toddlerhood, preschool, early school years, adolescence, young adulthood, middle adulthood, and late adulthood. Those are the 8 stages that a human is to develop, have certain milestones, certain things they want to achieve in their lives, certain things that the body yearns for, whether you're conscious of it or not. It is a state of being. And there's a positive and a negative side. If you get the skills right, you have a positive outcome. If you fail to develop the skills, skip a stage, or just don't have those, never accomplish those skills, you do not come out of that phase. So it's true, age is just a number. You can have a 60-year-old who's stuck in the adolescence period and they didn't progress beyond that. Some adults miss the developmental markers of infancy, and it shows up in their relationship. So we'll be going over those more in depth, but they're very important. And I think this is important to do because everyone wants someone. But do we want to be the best person we are, truly? The best person we are, do our work to become that person. And when you do the work to become the best person that you are, you're usually kind of satisfied whether you have someone or not in a pair bond relationship of love. There's deep satisfaction within self when you are situated and living your best life, and it opens up, it attracts things in all other areas, and it is pretty much assured that you probably will be your most attractive and attract someone to you. So I want to say, and remember this, I'll probably be saying it forever, that to demonstrate manhood, you must be in a relationship. There must be someone that you provide for, protect, and procreate with. And that's a 3-legged stool of manhood. And if you take one of the legs away, you have an imbalance. And the imbalance we are looking at now is 2 of the legs are missing. The provider and protector. Men are remaining single. I'm not going to get into the reasons in this video, but it is a fact. Men are remaining single, not marrying. maybe doing short-term dating, but you're not marrying. So provider and protector is gone, but procreation is high. There are a lot of children born out of wedlock. And for manhood to be demonstrated for your children, you need to provide and be a protector, and even for their mother, she should be provided and protected for. Now, caregiver, nurturer, and teacher, that has to be done in relationship also. We are meant to be in relationship, long-term relationships, to demonstrate this the best, because we become better and better at things that we do over a longer period of time. So parents start off, they're not probably not the best parents, but as they go on, as they have more children, they become better and better parents. Same thing with marriages. The longer you're in them, the better and better you become. So that's my take on manhood versus womanhood, or womanhood versus manhood. We all have our part to play. When you try to say, well, provider, protector, and procreator is more important than caregiver, nurturer, and teacher, you're shortchanging the children. Each one is needed. They're needed to work together smoothly, and they in turn create healthy children, healthy families, healthy marriages. And if what people are saying, I want to be in long-term relationships, it will take work to be in long-term relationships. And we need to change our thought pattern from what do you bring to the table to who do you bring to the table. So I look forward to discussing the 8 developmental stages of human growth and development with you. As always, I encourage you to buy my book, When Will Eve Be Forgiven? This is a book about from the Christian Bible and women being created in the image of God, and whether the church did a correct teaching on that. And if they didn't, what is the correct teaching on that? Women are supposed to have a sense of pride and value, the same thing men are seeking within their community, that manhood is highly regarded and respected, and the same thing for women. So I encourage you to look for that book and purchase that book on Amazon.com. Thank you once again for joining me. Please like, share, and comment, and also follow. I would appreciate a follow from you. All right. Have a nice day.